You're listening to Top Shelf Creator. On this episode, I talk about how to create space during the busy holiday season so that you can be serving your audience, being with your family, and still taking time for yourself with 5 different methods that we use to help create that space and still run a business that we want while creating the life that we want. So, stay tuned. Get ready to discover the best way to create a thriving business online from other creators and entrepreneurs just like you, who are making a full-time living doing what they love. I'm Kabrina Ashley, and as a former Disney trainer and consultant, I'm here to guide you in telling the right stories so you can be seen and heard by your ideal clients. Each week, join me in conversations with industry leaders as we unveil the keys to crafting a sustainable business that helps you more than survive, but thrive. This is the first creator podcast to give you clarity, help you position yourself in the market, and harness your influence to scale your community. Welcome to the Top Shelf Creator Podcast. Welcome to another episode of Top Shelf Creator. This week, we're going to be talking about all the things that are around the holidays as we're moving into Christmas and just really that December time where it seems to get really crazy for most people. So, what are some of those things that you can practically do to create space during the holiday, especially as a creator? Because you'll hear some gurus say, hey, take a break during this time. You'll hear some gurus say, go ahead and speed up during this time so you can take advantage of the people that are taking a break. And I'm going to give you a way in this episode to talk through 5 different things that will create the space for you to where you can take the time away, because it's so important, because we only get this moment, this one life, as well as still run your business in the best way possible so that you're still getting in front of your audience when they might just be scrolling TikTok, Instagram, any of your social medias or your website while grandma is talking about that one terrible story that nobody wants to hear for the 16th time. So, what are some of those ways that we can do this? The first thing that I'm going to tell you to do is not to batch your content. It's actually going to be able to go back and see what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. I mean, how many of us are creating things that don't necessarily need to be created? We're spending time creating a Facebook post, creating an Instagram post, making a video, doing something, but it's not, one, strategically minded in what we're creating. We're just creating to create. Or two, that we have started just creating stuff because we feel the need to do that. So, for example, let's say that most of your audience is on LinkedIn and Instagram, but somehow you keep finding yourself on other platforms that you're creating content specifically for those platforms. Are you serving your clients well and your audience well? No, because we're not focusing on where they are, but because we feel like we need to be everywhere to everyone, doing everything, checking all those boxes, getting the blue check mark, being the end all be all of everything, as if we were Gary Vee with a team instead of just a solopreneur, creator, somebody who's doing this with a very small, if any, team. And that's something that I want you to think about. And this process is actually from 2 different creators that I follow, and it's called the DAD method. It's delete, automate, and delegate. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to write down everything that you're doing, everything that you do on a daily basis. And you might have to take a couple of days and just keep a running list of, from this time to this time I did this, from this time to this time I did this. And at the end of this episode, you'll actually be able to download something that'll help you with these 5 different tips that I'm going to give you. And once you have those activities that you're doing every single day, which might be sporadic, you might create content on Monday and post content on Tuesday and do different things every day. So even if it takes you a week to figure out what are all the different tasks, going back and saying, does this task help me get to the next level that I want to get to? And if it doesn't, and it's not necessary for your growth, for income to bring in new clients, then go ahead and delete it. The next thing that you're going to do is look at those tasks now that you have and figure out which ones can be automated. In my space, there's a lot of people that have emails, they're sending out emails weekly, but they're doing it all manually. They're emailing people, they're putting all their proposals together. So creating automation, anything that we can get the computer to do, the easier it's going to be for you to run your business. Because I want you to think about this computer, this phone that you have. I want you to think about this as if it was another person in your business. Because if you can treat this and your computer like another person in your business, you've just gained a team member. And if you can look at the automation like that, that's going to start to take some things off of your plate. So can we make one piece of content on TikTok, for example, and then repurpose it to every other platform? Can we make one graphic and do that over a couple of months and then reuse some of those? Can we go back and reuse anything that we've done this year? Thinking about how do we repurpose? How do we create content in a really easily repurposed way? So one of the things that I like to teach our clients is CRM: create, repurpose, monetize. And if we are constantly creating, we never get to the monetize because we're missing that piece of repurposing. So spending all of your time creating is fantastic. And it is definitely a need that most of us as creators and entrepreneurs have, is creating. But what if you started creating the right content in your business? The content that got you seen, heard, and it had people paying you for what you do so that they actually understood what you do. And you're focusing on a clear, concise message versus every trend or every random meme that you feel like you need to be out trying to get into the algorithm somehow. Because at some point we have to say, yes, the algorithm is there. Yes, there are things that hold us back. However, are we going to let them? And taking those pieces and saying, okay, I know what my message is. I'm going to stand on my soapbox and have that message and be strong in that piece. And the right people will come to me as long as I am consistent and I am out there for them to find me. So far we've talked about delete and automate. The last piece is delegate. So if you have a VA, if you have kids that are coming home for the holidays, you can actually ask universities and colleges local to you if people within these classes are looking for internships. Sometimes that you can have them come in for free for a couple of hours. Some of these people need to do volunteer hours. This is a great way to get some work done and use the resources that are right around you. So start thinking outside of the box. Is there a neighbor kid who wants to make a little bit of extra money before Christmas? Say, hey, here's what I can pay you. Come in and do X, Y, and Z for me. Even if that's not in your business. And I think that's what a lot of people forget, is that if you're spending a lot of time food prepping, cleaning, doing laundry, things that, I don't know about you, but are not my favorite things to do. Hiring somebody in to do those things is beneficial for your business as well, because you might not be paying somebody to write your social copy for you or post or create blog posts, but you are getting your time back in a different area so that you can focus on those things until you can hire somebody to do those types of jobs within your business. So we've got our first thing, which is delete, automate, and delegate. So figure those things out. The next one is decide what's still on your plate. At a conference that Terry Weaver runs called The Thing, we did this great activity last year where we actually took a physical plate and wrote everything that is on our plate as a business owner on top of this. And the goal was to hand as much off of that plate as possible. Thinking about it as when you go through that buffet line and putting everything on your plate. You're putting a little bit of everything. The problem is that it starts to all get muddled together. It all starts to look the same. And all of a sudden you've got too much. And even if you were to eat through all of it, you're not going to feel good at the end of it. And that's the same thing when we have too much on our plate as business owners. And whether you are an artist trying to sell your art, or you see yourself truly as an entrepreneur and a business owner, I hate to break it to everybody within the creator economy, if you are trying to make money doing what you love, you are a business owner. So you're going to have to start looking at this of what's on my plate, how am I getting rid of it? Some of that is going to become part of the DADIT method that we just talked about. But if you're still finding after you've done that you have a lot of activities still on your plate, I want you to go back and be like, is there anything that I can get rid of? There's going to be points in your business where you can't. You're going to be starting out. You're going to be the social media person, the person who does accounting, the person who does all the proposals, who's doing marketing, who's doing sales. And that's part of this. But parsing it down as small as possible so that you're not spending all of your time doing things that are not moving the needle forward in your business. The next thing is to schedule it. So whatever's left on your plate, we want to be able to schedule it. Let's go ahead and put time in your calendar. Look at what the next couple of weeks bring, whether that's like today, I have to go to a party at my kid's school. So I have to cut my day a little bit short. Planning those things out so that you're not always feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm here doing this thing that I want to be present for, but I'm not actually present for it because I feel like I should be doing everything else. And it's an easy place to find yourself in of I'm working, but I feel guilty because I'm not with my family. I'm with my family, but I feel guilty because I'm not working. I'm doing something for myself for self-care, but I feel guilty because I'm not working or with my family. And so you start having all of these different pools on who you are as a person, and you don't have the ability to actually enjoy any of those moments. And then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 years has gone by, the business isn't doing well, your family's not doing well, you're not doing well. And it's all because you couldn't be present in any of those moments that were happening because you were so worried about one of those other things. So finding time to schedule where you're going, what are you doing? What does this look like? What do I want my life to look like? Scheduling your calendar to where people are not taking control of it. And I'm 100% guilty of this. I have definitely let clients, the business, family take a hold of my calendar because I wanted to try and please everybody. And most creators that I know, we tend to be people pleasers. We want to help people. We want to make the world a better place. And with that, the flip side of that coin, you can become very easily an over people pleaser to where everything is about everybody else's happiness until there is none of you left to create happiness for anybody else. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And I know we hear that and we go, oh yes, you're right. I should go to bed earlier. I'll go ahead and take that bubble bath. I'll do these things. And it doesn't have to be any of that. But you have to start making time for the things that are important to you. And if that means that you have to live and die by your calendar, then fantastic. If you say I'm only going to work 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, whatever it is for you, book that out. Make sure that people can't schedule over that. Make sure that you're not breaking those boundaries. Because those boundaries, once they're broken, it's harder to put them back up. It's like you're constantly building this brick wall, and while it's still a tiny bit wet, that cement in the middle, you keep pushing it down. And then when the cement dries, you put them back up, and you can't understand why that boundary keeps getting broken and why you keep having to feel like, oh, well, I worked 16 hours today and I only meant to work 8. And now I didn't get to put my kids to bed, or I didn't get to go do that self-help thing, or I didn't get to go see my friends like I originally planned. Because you get wrapped up in all of the things. And then you get into overwhelm because there's so many things to do. And there are a lot of things to do to run a business. But if you're going to create space, especially during this season, you have to decide, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want this business to look like? You didn't start a business so that you could be working all the time. You started a business so that you could have a life and freedom. And yes, is there hard work attached to this? Absolutely. But you should be planning for how you want your life to look, because we glorify hustle culture. We glorify working until your eyeballs bleed. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can be efficient. You can have a great business with doing very few things, but you have to be doing the right things. You could be doing a lot of the wrong things, which is why we have to look at it from the DADIT method and our plate to see what are the things that we're actually even doing. Because when I've done this with different clients, they'll start telling me some of the things that they're doing, and I'm like, well, let's look at the data. Has that gotten us anywhere? And when it's not getting you anywhere, it doesn't make sense to keep doing it. Seth Godin talks about this in his book, The Dip, of successful people know when to quit and what to quit. And you're probably not quitting enough. You're trying these things and you're not quitting enough. If that's something that you haven't read, I highly, highly suggest it. And I'll put that in the show notes for you. So we've got delete, automate, and delegate. Figure out what's on your plate. See what is still your responsibilities. Schedule it. And then we're going to talk about batching the work. So now that we have a schedule of when are things going to happen, what's going to happen during those time frames, we want to start batching work. So for example, if you're going to do one of the methods that I use is creating TikToks and then repurposing those to other platforms. We are going to take specific time to write out the ideas for the scripts. I'm not a write everything out word for word person. If you are, that's fantastic. Voice noting is a great way to do that, especially if you're on a walk, you're doing something that's enjoyable, you're washing the dishes. It's one of those activities that just makes you turn off your brain enough for it to start getting ideas where you're quote unquote bored. And what I do is I actually will have a title topic and then I will bullet point the things that I want to hit during that video. Because as you start to know your content better, the easier it is to just bullet point things out and go, okay, I know that I need to make X amount of videos during this batching time. Let's say you do it every week and you post one video a day on TikTok. That means that you need to make 7 videos in this batching time. So you're going to have one set of timing where you're going to sit down and figure out what are those videos and what does that look like. Then the next set of batching time is going to be making those videos. And it can be in the same time block, but having specific pieces written out. So if you have an hour and you know that you can record those 7 videos in an hour, you're going to plan them for the first 20 minutes. You're going to record for the next 30 minutes. And then that last 10 minutes, you're going to schedule them to post or put them in your drafts or put them into something like Postly so that you can have them ready for when you're going to post them. And then the same thing with the repurposing. Once they're on TikTok, then you can download them, repurpose them to Reels, repurpose them to YouTube Shorts, repurpose them to Pinterest stories. All of these different aspects that we can easily do with our content in order to make one piece, but we're using that batching time to make content for every platform. And short form video is a great way to do that. That's just one example. If you're doing static posts, this is where I usually create all of my images first. I'll do quote cards, I'll do images, I'll do branded things for launches, for example. I'll create all of my images. I will put them into a spreadsheet. Then I will go through and I will write the copy for each one. Then I will put it into my scheduling app and get it scheduled so that it's running when I'm not thinking about it. And it's great when you get on that train, because all of a sudden I've been on podcasts and somebody asked me one time, are you okay if we talk about that post that you just posted? And I was like, jog my memory, because I don't know which one it was, because I've created content for the next 6 months and scheduled it out. And the reason that I do that is because life happens. People get sick, you get sick, kids get sick, school gets canceled, holidays happen. So planning for these ahead of time so that when those moments happen, you can go, deep breath, okay, I am fine because my business is running. Almost everything in your business can be scheduled. So if it's something that's schedulable, if you're not sure, you can Google it or pop a comment into the podcast at topshelfcreator.com/podcast. And we can say, hey, yeah, that's a great thing that you can schedule. Here's some software to do that. Reach out to people within the creator community. Join our Facebook group and ask people there and find out what are things that you're doing manually that something else could be doing, which goes back to that automation piece. So now that we've batched our work, the next thing is going to be actually posting it. That's our last piece. So if it's something that can be scheduled to post, fantastic. TikToks, depending on which software you're using, some of them can schedule and some of them can't still. So one of the methods that I use is I actually know how many TikToks I'm going to post every single day. So I keep them all in my drafts. I don't even bother downloading them and then re-uploading them because I'm making the content in TikTok. And then I know at 10 a.m., I'm going to post those. And then I can test other things. So if things aren't doing great when I post them at 10 a.m., then I go ahead and change that posting time. And then I just set an alarm on my phone and put it in there. I have a dear friend who does this when he has to look at specific emails. He knows that these emails are things that have the possibility of ruining his day. So he sets a specific timer to go ahead and look at those emails, take care of them, and move on with his day every single day, which is a great way to not let things get overwhelming. Because if you have a lot of things that you're like, oh, that's right, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. One of the toxic traits that I have is when I'm getting ready, this is that time of year when you're getting ready to get on physical stages, and you have to put in all these applications for different conferences. And it can get very overwhelming. The research part is easy. Getting the contact information is easy. Writing the pitches is pretty easy. But then you have to go back and actually send all the things out. And it can get really scary when there's no's attached to emails. You know that there's a possibility of getting a no. And being able to be like, it doesn't matter. I'm showing up consistently. I'm putting myself out there because people cannot find you unless they consistently see you. It's the same thing with dating. It's like if you met somebody for the first time, decided to go on a date with them, and then didn't see them for forever, and then they call you up randomly and are like, hey, would you like to go on a second date? You might say yes, but you're probably going to be a little bit like, where have you been this whole time? Are you going to ghost me again? What does this look like? So looking at marketing and sales, just like a dating relationship, you don't want to go on the first date with somebody and have them ask you to marry them. The same thing is true in your content. And so looking at when we're scheduling things and posting things, what does this look like from a bigger strategy perspective? And this is a great time of year to really think about that. Of if I'm going to be launching once a quarter, for example, and here's my dates for each quarter, what kind of content do I need to put around each of these launches? And that will make it easier for you to build this out. Of if I'm going to launch in mid-February, I know that this is how long my runway is. And this is the idea of launching. And you don't have to do a traditional launch. So this is just an example for you of what does content look like? Do I have something that's opened all the time like a membership? Am I consistently marketing to those people? You can have specific times of year that you market an all the time open product because you might have it open all the time. But if people aren't consistently seeing you post about it or talk about it or email them about it, they're not going to know when they can get into it because people are not just looking for your stuff. They want to know what your opinion is. They want to know how you can help them. They want to know what that thing is that you're the expert at that is going to take them to the next level. And this is where things like thought reversals come in of everybody's telling you X, I'm telling you this. So that you can start getting people into your ecosystem and understanding who you are as a creator, as a business owner, whether you're selling a product, a service, you're doing influencer marketing, you're doing anything that has to bring in money, people need to be able to see you. They need to understand who you are. And the clearer we can get on that, the better. And sometimes that clarity is going to come through creating content and seeing what happens with it. Action creates clarity. Or you could say it like ABC, action breeds clarity. So if you're not clear on what you're doing, if you're not sure, it's important to just put stuff out there. And especially with short form content for videos being a big thing within every algorithm. Creating 100 bad videos is going to get you to that really great video. And then once you have one great video, then you're going to have another great video and another great video because you made all the mistakes over here of, oh, my hair was out of place. Oh, my audio wasn't good. Oh, my lighting wasn't good. You don't have to be perfect. You have a camera that's better than some of the ones that actual movies were created on in your hand all of the time. So go ahead and just create. Do it because you love it. And the money is going to follow. Yes, there are things that you can do to systematize this and have a better strategy on how to do this as a creator and a business owner. But you could easily get overwhelmed by all of the things and never actually make any progress because standing still seems really safe, but it's not going to get you where you want to go and it's not going to get you the result that you want. And moving forward is going to get you closer to where you want to go. We want to move the needle forward. Move in the direction on your map, on your life map of where you want to go. Because standing still, you're just going to be in the same place. And if this place is not exactly where you want to be, then there only is one option, and it's forward. So I really hope that you can find some time during this holiday season to take some time away for yourself, take some time away for your family, and take some time away for your business so that you have that space for each container to have a great November and December, to delete, automate, and delegate. Figure out what's on your plate. Schedule what you do have to do. Batch that content and then post it so that you can create the life that you love, a life that you want to be remembered for, and you can help the people that you want to help because you're helping you, you're helping your family, you're helping your audience. And all of those are important. But if you are not getting what you need, none of it's going to matter. So create the space, and I wish you a happy, fantastic holiday season. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Top Shelf Creator Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Top Shelf Creator. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we would love to see you share it with a friend and give us a review wherever you listen to help us reach more creators and entrepreneurs just like you.